The first highly anticipated victory of the season wasn't finally Mercedes until November. George Russell, a young teammate of Lewis Hamilton, easily won the race in Brazil. Russell also leads the 7-time world champion in the standings for the championship. It raises the issue of whether the Hamilton era is over. About that subject, Wolff thinks he will have to do some damage control in the future, as both drivers are alpha drivers, or as young people would say, sigma males. And this could become a problem in the future, as both drivers won't back down for each other. Does this mean that there is any friction between the two Brits? Well, what do you think? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. But for now, the compliments were sincere. Hamilton spoke over the board radio about a great result for the team, as Russell finished the exit lap inconsolably. He also offered his sincere congratulations to Russell. Although Hamilton would have preferred to be back on the top step of the podium, there was not the slightest hint of cynicism about the situation. The record champion acknowledged that Russell had beaten him fairly after claiming an overwhelming victory. But has Russell really outclassed Hamilton in his first year at Mercedes? After all, Hamilton's chance to triumph will only come in Abu Dhabi, of all places. Hamilton will finish a Formula One season without a victory for the first time in his career if he falls short of the finish line. Simply based on the aforementioned facts, it would seem that Hamilton, who is currently 37 years old, has been outdone by his countrymen. If you look closely at the numbers, you can see that this is not that bad. Particularly during the qualifying, Hamilton didn't appear to have lost much of his pace. Hamilton will prevail in their qualifying race 12-9. Hamilton was also marginally 0.039 of a second faster than Russell in that series on average, up to and including Mexico, counted only on dry tracks and thus equal conditions. Therefore, it was a little surprising that Russell outpaced Hamilton at Interlagos by 0.2. Maybe they're just a good match for each other? At Grand Prix, Russell finished ahead of Hamilton 10 times, while the latter defeated his colleague 9 times, not counting dropouts. Again, the two are only slightly ahead of one another. In a car that improved steadily during the year, Hamilton and Russell are, to put it briefly, pretty evenly matched. The car seems to fit Hamilton more and more, who struggled earlier in the season than his teammate to get used to porpoising. In addition, let's face it, Russell would not have won the Grand Prix if it hadn't rained during Q3 on Friday. In the crucial qualifying session, he foolishly parked his Mercedes in the gravel, raising the red flag. He wasted precious dry minutes salvaging his car. Water began to fall from the sky as soon as it was safe to drive once more. Without rain, Russell would have likely been passed by the required rivals in the remaining time. They were now without hope, leaving Russell the lucky one and advancing to Q2 and further. So, does that mean that Russell won the race because of luck in qualifying? Well, Russell won the sprint race from the third starting position, and the next day he started the Grand Prix from the front. After colliding with Max Verstappen earlier in the race, Hamilton, who was just behind him, lost numerous positions. The previous champion then had to battle his way back to position 2 through the pack. Hamilton might have defeated Russell if it weren't for terrible luck, as seen by his demonstrated speed at the time he lost battling back. In sports, it has no bearing. The facts are what count. The truth is that Russell won and Hamilton finished second. He undoubtedly felt lighter after the first victory. George Russell, however, is George Russell, a capable driver, maybe a top driver. He lacks Hamilton's tremendous talent, though. Take a look at another excellent driver, Fernando Alonso. The 41-year-old Spaniard frequently demonstrates that these amazing abilities never fade. Hamilton undoubtedly fits the same description. But for now, everything seems all good at Mercedes. But that is only because of a car that is not championship material. So a good time is in store for fans if Mercedes is successful in fielding a car that can compete with Red Bull the following season. Hamilton will want to show that he has not been written off, particularly after a horrible year like the present one. He can always rely on his skill and experience, though. In a competitive car, George Russell will surely struggle to keep Hamilton structurally behind him. And so, the drivers themselves will probably have less of a good time, just like Wolff predicted. Lewis Hamilton and George Russell could have a future issue, but Toto Wolff believes his Mercedes team will be able to handle it. In the closing laps of the race, Russell defended against Hamilton to prevent giving the 7-time world champion DRS. Managing both drivers was a challenge for Wolff when Nico Rosberg was with the squad. The two drivers competed for the World Championship for 3 straight years, with Rosberg winning in 2016. Wolff believes a teammate conflict will resurface if Mercedes regain the lead. He had the win on his hands in Bahrain a few years ago. Now he drove it home. He had the pace and he withstood the pressure at the end. Hamilton pushed out, but he came back. They are both alpha drivers, which is good. We don't want a puppy in the car. We will manage this as good as we can, Wolff told the media. Wolff then continued to praise Russell. He had a strong start, then a dip, but they push each other, which is good to see. They work well together. You can see similar levels between Hamilton and Russell. Mercedes are hoping to get back into the World Championship fight next season, but first they will head to Abu Dhabi to close the 2022 season. And looking at recent performances, they are surely getting back in the hang of it. But how did they manage to do this? Mercedes was one of the teams most impacted by the porpoising phenomena experienced by the 2022 generation of cars. And while its flaws were more common, it took time for the team to grasp them while dealing with their porpoising troubles. It eventually managed to overcome its issues, especially in the second half of the season, and has since followed an ambitious development strategy with a W13 it believed had the promise to keep going. Up until the Mexican Grand Prix at the end of October, this development process was ongoing. Mercedes ran a modified front wing in that race that was originally planned to debut as part of an improved package unveiled the weekend prior in Austin. "I think it really goes to show the improvement we've made," said Russell of Mercedes' current pace relative to Ferrari. "We lost so much time trying to solve the porpoising issues that it really hurt our development. I think that's why we're seeing such a jump in performance in these past 8 races. It's because we're no longer focusing on the porpoising and we're now focused on bringing performance." Speaking in Mercedes' post-race debrief video, Elliott said, "I've described it a bit like peeling the layers of an onion. The first layer was aero bouncing, which we had the beginning of the season. The second layer was then some of the ride issues that then came in after that. And what we wanted to show is there another layer? Is there something else we needed to discover, needed to fix for next year's car? So that's been our main focus. And then in Austin, we came with an upgrade kit that took the understanding and took the first steps to what we needed to do for next year. And since then, we've seen a good performance level from the car. Probably not quite where we want to be yet, but the right signs of the things that we need to do over the winter. And I think that's probably the most important thing that we got out of this weekend. The 1-2 is fantastic for the team, fantastic for our drivers, but actually the learning and showing that learning is turning into performance is what's really key for next year's car. The last 3 Grand Prix have seen Russell and/or Hamilton finish ahead of Ferrari's drivers Carlos Sainz and Charles Leclerc. Before this weekend's Abu Dhabi season finale, there are now 19 points separating the two teams, competing for second place in the Constructors' Championship. And who will win that battle, do you think? Will Mercedes be able to take over that second spot on the list? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Enjoyed the video? Be sure to like it and subscribe to the channel and ring that notification bell. That way, you're sure you won't miss another incredibly Sigma male video of ours. As always, thanks for watching.